So what we're looking at here is all the parts for my OMC Cobra. It's got a 5.7 liter. It's the Chevy 350, engine inboard part. And the outboard part, I kept having a problem with the cable that goes from the ESA on the engine, which is like the ignition cutout that it breaks. It stalls the engine for a split second to break torque for enable to go into gear. So I can show you the dogs on the gear shift part. It allows them to, seat into whatever gear you're putting it into instead of just grinding. And that's what a lot of people have problems with. They try to put it in gear and it just, jams in. It doesn't actually sit into gear. The problem I was having was I wasn't able to get it into reverse. The cable just felt like spongy, and I actually took all the cable apart that goes from the ESA down to the out drive and discovered that the end of the cable was all screwed up. So I replaced that, thought that would fix my problem, and still having the same issues. Didn't understand why. I did some research and I found out the detent, which is this little guy here, where the ball sits in this. You see here it's like two little short valleys. This one here is the upgraded one. I'll take this apart and show you, but the valley is cut different, so it's easier to go in and out of gears. With this, sits in the back of the lower lower unit. Connects to this guy here, which this is that dog I was talking about. So this goes back and forth with this like finger inside here. That's what this actuates, and that rides back and forth against these gears. So these are called dogs. They ride, when it goes into gear, these teeth grab these teeth. This would be forward and then this side would be reverse. So that's the issue I was having. Hopefully I can get the light in here right. When you push down on it, see these push out, that would be reverse, and then when you pull up on it, goes that way, that's forward. So this new detent is supposedly the fix-all for this thing, and this was like I don't know, somewhere in the early 90s is when OMC started making these. But a lot of people, like my boat in particular was an 87, 86, gone its whole life without this upgrade, so probably got beaten around until I finally got a hold of it and decided to let's just fix it and make it more enjoyable to drive. Let me take this apart so you can see what this thing looks like, and I'll go over some of the other items I have here on the table. Okay, so I have this apart here. Hopefully you can see the difference in the profile, how these are cut. So this is their answer to make this thing easier to shift into gear. I took this out. I put this together kind of premature. That rod, the drive shaft, has to go in here first before I put the rest of this together, so it needed to come apart anyway. But this is kind of one of those things. There's a lot of specialty tools to take these things apart and put them back together, and I'm trying to figure out what I exactly need. So I'll go over some of the things that happened to it. This is the water pickup. This was from mine. You can see how badly eaten away it was, and I bought another outdrive from Facebook's marketplace, hoping that it would have better parts, and it was a little better. You can see all of the calcium in where the bolts were. I had to actually chisel all that away just to get this thing off. It's pretty bad. I had to actually go on eBay, and this was a nicer piece. Now this green paint here is this zinc chromate, and the purpose of putting this on is, I take this in salt water, brackish water, that will actually attack this before it'll start getting to the metal. So putting this stuff on, it will help it live a little longer. Of course, my boat lives on a trailer. It doesn't live in the water, so it should last a little longer than normal. You can see this was the upper inspection plate cover. You can see how pitted it was. This has been sandblasted, and this is actually a paint. So it has this green primer underneath of it, and then a shiny, you know, paint on top of it. And that paint has also got that zinc in it also to help preserve the pieces. Some of the other things, like this is the, you know, the bearings going here. I had to sandblast this. This is what the, you know, sacrificial zinc looked like. Pretty bad on this. Here's the other one, even worse. Here's a new one that's going to go on it. So getting this all set up, you know, I want it to last me a little while. And that's the biggest thing. You don't maintain these and they go to crap on you quickly. But the lower unit, I'm pretty well, that's straightforward to get put back together. The biggest thing you have to check is like, I guess the head spacing on this shaft here. I have a couple of the shims and everything. I got to figure out how to do that. That's like the first thing. All the gears and everything, and the one that I bought looked better than everything that was in mine. And what I mean by that is, so this was from the one that I bought, very light wear on everything, and this is the one that came with my boat. Light wear, but this weird discoloration. I think it was living in water for a while. The seals were leaking. The seal that was leaking was the input drive shaft. So when I first took it apart, when I went to fix that cable, all the oil from the outdrive was in the bellow. And that was when I first noticed I had an issue with it. I changed the oil out, went out, you know, a couple times, and noticed the oil was getting milky. So that's when I decided I had a problem. And then I realized that I needed to change this little guy, and decided to do all this, you know, hopefully make it last a little longer. This is the first maintenance I've done since I owned this boat to this outdrive, so I'm trying to make it last a little while. So the lower unit, not that big of a deal getting together. Spacing that thing is the biggest deal. I might actually have to buy the tool to do the spacing. There's a video on how to exactly do that. That's one thing. The upper unit is what I'm a little more concerned about. These guys here, this goes into, you know, the drive shaft, which goes to the lower unit. So this splits the two, is what this drive shaft's for. These bearings, you can feel something's in there, you know what I mean? They're fairly expensive. Right there, just locked. And these gears look immaculate. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just some dirt or something's in these bearings. And that's my thing. It's like, I want to take it apart and inspect it to see exactly how bad it is. Is it just like something from me taking it apart, like these little chips from, you know, just stuff? Yeah, you see right there, a little something's in this thing. This is the one from mine. Smoother, you know, right there. They both have, they feel like something's in them, you know what I mean? So I just want to take them apart and inspect them. This shaft, I was talking to a friend of mine. This shaft has to go in there and then put this in a vise to bust this nut loose. This nut's only like 60 or 70 foot-pounds of pressure to take this thing apart and look at it. I just want to take it apart, clean it all up, put fresh grease in there before I assemble it, and good to go. Now, underneath this is these guys. And these are different thicknesses. I haven't measured them yet. I got a couple of them. This brings this gear up and down. And then here it is. These meet up like this inside that housing. There's different thicknesses of these. And see, this one only has like one on it, where this one's got a bunch of them. So that's how you do the mesh on this. You use these to bring this in and out, and then you use these to bring this up and down. So you have to use you know, that yellow witnessing paint on here to mesh the gears right. But this whole thing has to come apart in order to change that seal that's down in there. So That's going to be fun. I hope this shaft is okay, like where that seal rides, because this shaft's pretty expensive, almost $300 just for this little guy, not including the rest of it. But that's where I'm at with this thing. Hopefully I can get it together fairly quickly. I just knocked the box over. It's awesome. The rest of these parts look really good, all these bearings and everything. They just need to be cleaned up. Like I said, I got doubles of everything because I bought you know, a used one, a second one. And you know, the only thing that I did do that I'm really replacing, because I ruined it, was the bearings that go inside this guy. And well, the seals you replace no matter what. That came in the seal kit. The seal kits themselves, here's one, here's the other one. This is everything I need to do the bottom half, and then the upper half. This is the one for the upper half, and this was Outboard Motor Products down, I think Clearwater or something like that. And that's that seal right there. I didn't realize that seal was going to come for this guy here. I didn't realize that seal was going to come in this. I actually bought that separate. So if I destroy one putting it in, no big deal. Here's one of the bearings for this. This is the big side here. And then the here's that seal. So that's a part number there, if you would ever need it. It's a 911685. But like I said, that comes in the set. That more or less looks like they want to sell you the whole thing. And here's the other bearing. These are Torrington bearings. So I got to press these in, get that all together, get the lower half together. Excuse me. The lower half, here, I'll pull it up here. I began to sandblast it, and the sandblasting box that I was in was a little too small, so I couldn't get all the details. I don't know how much it really matters. Maybe I can do the inside parts there, you know, get the rest of the gunk out. This all really needs to be painted with the green stuff so it doesn't rust anymore. Allow stuff to be built up in it, and you know, make it look like it's been worked on. But you know, I just wanted to throw a video out there that I'm working on this thing, and you know, there's a lot of good videos. This like TC Electronics or something was one of the ones that I watched on how to take this thing apart the right way. The biggest problem I had was, I don't even know where it went, the nut that goes on the bottom of this shaft over here. The one that goes on the bottom of this, you got to go in through where this drive shaft is, you know, and it's right next to this piece, so it's kind of hard to get to. I like modified a wrench to do it. They said it's next to impossible to get that nut back on there without, here it is, without, this is that nut, without a special tool. So I'm going to try my luck at it, see how I make out with it, and hopefully we can get it back together. It only gets torqued 60-70 foot-pounds, and it's good. I can't find the other nut. I like destroyed one of them. Here it is. I had to actually use an air chisel and like, not cut it out, but you know, knock it loose. I could not, the wrench that I was using was rounding the corners and kept slipping off, and it was just being difficult, so I figured I had two of them. I got one off already. I knew I had a good one, so that was my sacrificial one. But hopefully we can get this together soon, show you what I do to get it together. For anybody who's out there having problems with these things, you can you know, get the parts to make your life a little easier. If I run into any problems, you know, I'll post a video on how I got around to get this thing back together. Like I said, that Chevy 350, I'm imagining it's around 270 horsepower, I believe. So this has to put up with that kind of abuse. You know, well, I don't know, call it abuse, but it's a little more power than your average outboard anyway, I guess. My first video in this little, you know, vlog series, whatever you want to call it, and that's it for now. Thank you for watching.